Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ninja, aka Izuku, and I'm here again with a different video. And it's when I say this is gonna be like a different type of what if than multiple I've done before. It's gonna be way different. It's gonna have a lot of shit to it, and it's gonna be quite complex and very, how should I put this? Well, it's gonna be easy to understand, but not very easy. Well, we'll get into that in a second. So, instead of going straight into a backstory, let's start from this point in the story. 1 second. I need to drink water. It feels like my throat is dry as hell. 1 second. Alright, now that I'm back, we start off with Izuku Midoriya sitting we start off with Izuku Midoriya sitting in an investigation room as he would be seated and cuffed to a chair with two cops in front of him, as we'll label them Officer 1 and Officer 2. Okay. Now, Officer 1 would start off by saying, "Kid, so you're saying you are Izuku Midoriya and you did what?" As Izuku would respond, "Yes, my name is Izuku Midoriya and I did take down those villains. And I also completed that gate. Well, cleared that gate." As Officer 2 would just start laughing, as he'd say, "You, the weakest of all the brats in the world. Do you really believe us?" I said believe us. My fault. Do you really think we'll believe? There we go. Do you really think we'll believe that you cleared a gate alone and also took down the villains that were captured?" And Midoriya would initially go to respond, but Officer 1 would cut him off by saying, "Enough. And Brat, do you really expect us to believe that you beat them and cleared that gate? And sorry about my partner. He's kind of immature. He's fresh to the job, so." And Midoriya would say, "Honestly, I don't care if you do or don't. Just don't put this on my record. I know that going into a gate, without having a hunter's license or a heroic hunter's license is illegal, but it wasn't by choice that I was sent into that dungeon." And that's when a familiar face that we all know way too good, very well, Aizawa. He would walk in. Shota Aizawa would walk in. Sorry about this. I keep fucking with my microphone. Cause, yeah. But back to it. Shota Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, would walk in as he'd say, "Okay then, come with me to UA. And if you can prove your claims by, well, I'll explain that later. I'll keep this off your record, and I will not." Ugh. Hold on, I just lost my whole train of thought right there. I remembered something that I was recording earlier, and it's still in my head, like fresh in my head. But yeah, sorry about that. So he'd say, "I'll keep this off your record, but first you need to prove that you actually could take down those villains and clear that gate. We'll send you through the practice gate. And the practice gate is basically just a gate that appeared and it doesn't go away. It's filled with low level monsters, and it has a boss that can be set to whatever level the operator over the gate, since they were able to take control of the gate, and that's why it doesn't close. It's used as a training ground for people. And hero schools have gates like that, and most, if not all, hero schools have from a practice gate to an A-rank gate inside of them. And these gates are well protected so that a gate or a gate break doesn't happen. I was gonna call it a dungeon break, but can't really call it a dungeon, can I? I mean, I could, my story, but yeah, we're gonna not do that. Okay. So Izuku would look at his system, which would have appeared in front of him, but no one else could see it, as he would be smirking, as he'd say, "Yeah, that sounds good." And Aizawa would sense this change in Midoriya's aura, as he would think this kid's aura has greatly changed. What happened since the last time I saw him? What could have happened in between the time that I last saw him and him going into the gate? Well, coming out of the gate. Could he really have cleared that gate? Now, we go to a flashback. Now, this is going to the beginning of everything, where everything had started. We would see Midoriya get punched down to the ground, as he would say, "What the hell, Kachan?" As Katsuki would say, "What was that, nerd?" And this would be in a playful way, as in this, they are very close. They aren't, but Midoriya would respond saying, "What, got a hearing problem?" And Katsuki would spark up explosion, like he would spark an explosion in his hand, as he would say, "That's it, you're dead." And he would swing his hand at him as he'd yell, "Die." But Midoriya would yell, "I'm not your punching bag," and catch his arm and slam him to the ground. As when his back would hit the ground, Katsuki would cough out, like he'd cough out all the air that was in his lungs. But this would not stop him, as he swing his hand up. And Midoriya would sense this, like he wouldn't, like not sense, he would see his hand come up towards him, as he would jump back, and this would initially cause Katsuki's explosion that he had just shot to be dodged, as Midoriya would say, "That's very predictable." And he would kick Bakugo into the bushes. And Katsuki would stand up after a bit, and he would say, "Well, seems you've gotten stronger again." And Midoriya would wipe it, like he'd wipe the dirt off his face, and he'd spit out a bit of blood, since, Katsuki punched him earlier. He would say, You hit harder than last time we sparred." Kind of fucked that up. He would say, "You hit harder than last time we sparred." There you go. I don't know why that was so hard to say the first time. But Katsuki would say, "So, your quirk still hasn't fully awoken? It's still in the whatever phase?" And Midoriya would hence start to explain his quirk. His quirk is Shadow Monarch System. And all it says is prove your resolve. And Katsuki, being a bit confused, would say, "Oh, well, that sucks, I guess. But how's Auntie doing?" And Midoriya would respond by saying that she's fine. She's just training Izumi for the UA entrance exam. And he would say, how about you? You're going to sign up for a UA, right? And Katsuki would say, yeah. What about you? What's the plan? And Midoriya would say, meh, I might go be a normal hunter instead of a heroic hunter. Now I'm going to explain the difference between a heroic hunter and a normal hunter. Okay. So normal hunters take an exam that tells them their rank, and they can only challenge those rank dungeons and lower. Sorry about that. 1 second. All right, I'm back. But yeah, like I was saying. So now a heroic hunter goes to a hero academy. And that's where they learn, train, and are instructed to gain. And usually, they'd all become high-ranked hunters. And the reason for that being the many instructors, the high-ranking teachers, and the many portals that they can enter, and the more opportunities they get because of their heroic status. Sorry about that. So the main difference between the two is a heroic hunter's card has a symbol at the bottom of it, or yeah, I'm pretty sure. It has a. My bad. Sorry about that. But yeah, like I was saying, it had. Why my voice changed like that? Anyways, it has a symbol from the academy they go to on it somewhere, because I don't think I specifically put a place. But yeah. And so far, there has been a lot of different ranked heroes from, well, hunters in general, from E rank to S rank, and there has only been 6 ever national rank heroes. Well, 6 national rank hunters. My fault. And the normal hunter's card doesn't have a symbol on it, since that they don't go to an academy. That was kind of obvious, but had to state it anyways. Katsuki would say, well, I can't really say it's a bad thing, since you are a physical freak. Your strength, speed, and agility are above normal people's, if not even sometimes greater than mine. Without my quirk, you outspeed and listen. You're better than most people, if not every normal person. But normal hunters die on the regular. Sure, I know you're good at fighting with martial arts, and no one can beat you when you have a dagger or a katana on you, but really, that's quite dangerous. I mean, I get it. You want to be a hunter and all, but are you sure? As Midoriya would respond, yeah, I know. But I've trained way too hard to be a normal civilian or a mere cop. I'm gonna be a hunter. And Katsuki would say, fine, just don't die on us. And your sis, never mind. Anyways, I'm off, as Katsuki would leave while waving, and Midoriya would wave back at him. And when Katsuki would get far enough away, Midoriya would think to himself, I know what you were gonna say. She doesn't mean what she says. I know. And that's why I'll keep my family safe, no matter what. And Midoriya's eyes would turn purple. Like, they would start to shine a purple color as this aura would start to emanate around him. As he'd say, even if that means taking on the entire world. Bro, my voice is killing me right now. I don't know why. Anyways, sorry, that was very unprofessional. I should have just cut that out. Well, I might end up still cutting it out of the actual video, but I should have paused. Anyways, that's when a voice would register in Midoriya's head for the first time. System command recognized. Welcome, new Shadow Monarch. I said that so oddly. 1 second, I'm gonna take a sip because this is outrageous. Bro, I don't know what's going on. Like, my voice, we're gonna ignore that. But yeah, it would say system command recognized. Welcome back. Well, welcome, new Shadow Monarch. Not welcome back. And that's when his system would pop up, as it would show him how to properly use the system, as all these memories would flood into his head, as it would show him how to operate the system, what happens when you upgrade certain attributes and all of that. And then he would level up to level 2 for awakening the system, and he would be awarded 5 stat points to put wherever he pleases. This sounds so forced. Oh no, what's sorry about that. And he would have cleared a quest called Family Loyalty and gained an additional 15 stat points, making him now have 20 of them. And oh, by the way, let me retry that. He would level up again to level 5, as it would have shown that he would have cleared a quest called Family Loyalty, and this would have caused him to gain another 15, points, stat points. I don't know why that was so hard to say. All these, it's getting annoying. Yes, I did that one on purpose. But yeah, he now has 20 stat points, and Midoriya would smirk as his quirk finally awakened. It actually happened. Wait, and why is it like a video game? But that's not the main question. Who are they? As Midoriya would ignore them and start to put his points in, as he would put 5 points into strength, 5 points into dexterity. He would put 5 points into intelligence, 5 points into agility, and then the remaining 5 into and endurance. I was gonna say durability, but endurance. Yeah. And that's when all of a sudden a portal would appear behind Midoriya, or a gate, as he would glance back and the guys in front of him would push him out of the way, as they'd say, "Move, kid. We were assigned to, take on this gate." But his system would say, "Enter the gate." And Midoriya would be confused on why this system wants him to enter the gate. But then all of a sudden, since he was still in front of the gate, the guys who had just told him to move and even tried to push him out of the way, since Midoriya is now stronger and is already physically stronger than a normal human because of his martial arts training and all his other trainings, Midoriya not only is stronger, he is built like this now. Like, this is legit Midoriya now. At first, he had a nice, calm physique. It wasn't like, if you know how Sung Jin Woo looked, or Sung Jin Woo, I'm gonna call him Sung Jin Woo. All right. Sung Jin Woo looked when he was in the hospital. You if you don't, basically that was Midoriya's physique during, like, at his, once he finished training, or when he was fighting Katsuki. That's how Midoriya looked. This is how he now looks. His physique has improved a lot just from those 5 points. And I'm not gonna have him grow crazily like overly buff for no reason. This is just gonna be his like he's gonna keep this physique, but I just had to show you what he currently looked like. But they won't know that, as the guy noticing he can't move Midoriya would use his quirk, which is super strength, as he would punch Midoriya. But Midoriya would catch his hand and flip the guy into the gate, as the guy would go flying inside of it. And his other two teammates would come out of one seeming to be an assassin and the other seeming to be a mage. It's like the mage would shoot a fireball at him, which would destroy his shirt, and that's how, But it would also cause smoke to come up, so they wouldn't know if, But the assassin not caring would use one of his skills that are a sure hit, like a surefire, thing, right? He would dash at Midoriya, and he would draw his daggers, and as soon as he closed into where Midoriya's neck should be, he would start to swing. And at the last second, Midoriya would dodge, causing it to hit, but it would only hit a singular strand of his hair. But it still made contact. And the guy feeling it make contact with something would assume that, by the way, I know if, usually if your knife hits. Listen, we're just going to say that since it still made contact with Midoriya, the skill, it assumed that it hit on target. Since it's a sure hit skill, it assumed that he, definitely hit something, right? So he definitely hit Midoriya. It was just a singular strand of his hair. And the guy would be smirking, but only to receive the meanest gut shot in his life. If you want to know what type of gut shot, I mean Dragon Ball Z type gut shot. Like, that man would receive one of the meanest gut shots in his life, as he would go flying into the portal. Well, gate. Yeah, I got to get used to saying gate, so excuse me for saying portal. I'm used to saying either, but yeah. So the mage, assuming that the guy killed him and then went into the gate, he would start walking there, but Midoriya would elbow him in the chest. And the guy would go to fall, but Midoriya would grab the two daggers that he had on his back, and he would put them on his hip. And then he'd throw the guy into the gate. Now, you might be wondering, why would Midoriya toss these three people into the gate if, he's attempting to be a hero? Isn't throwing three unconscious people into a gate going to get them killed? No. Why? Because this is an E rank gate. And yes, I said an E rank. Well, no, a D rank gate. Let's put it that way. It's a D rank gate, right? And I'm going to say that all D rank gates have a safe zone at the start. So the guys would lay unconscious in that zone. And Midoriya would leave, as he'd see that the super strength guy had a katana on him. No, I'm going to say he had a longsword, a normal longsword on him. Right? Midoriya, seeing it, would at first not care to grab it, but he'd say since he doesn't have his katana with him, he'll use this. And Midoriya isn't just, he can use other swords. It's just he's more proficient with a katana. So he would grab the sword, sheath it on his back, and he would head on his way. But as soon as he'd leave the zone, 50 goblins, yes, I said 50, would pop out as Midoriya would draw the daggers and get into a stance, as he'd smirk and say, "Bring it on." And you might be wondering, how is he going to take on these, goblins? Midoriya is at level 5. Everything, all of his stats are also at level 5. Midoriya is easily taking down these goblins, especially with his knowledge of fighting and combat. His dagger, him being proficient with a dagger, made it even better, as he would easily cut up these goblins. He would collect their crystals, and he would keep moving on, as he would start to clear out the cave, making sure to get as many monsters like kill as many monsters as he could, as he needed all the crystals he could get. Why? Because he made a bet with his mother. If he ever awoke his quirk, he would turn her in the crystals for her to allow him to go to UA. And that's the only thing on his mind. I need to collect 100 crystals. So I'll kill all of you. And then the boss. And then I'll make money off the boss's crystal. I'm not saying that Inko is a bad mother. She gave him this task hoping that he wouldn't pursue being a hunter, as she did not want her son to get hurt. And Izumi, if like Midoriya said, she talked down to him, not in a place of not liking him. She was being mean to him in hopes of him wanting to quit being a hunter, even if that caused him to stop liking her. She loves her brother with all her heart, but she didn't want to see him get hurt. And Inko is the number 5 hero. And she's an S rank. She's an S rank telekinetic hero. His sister Izumi is, well, awoke when, because everyone gains their quirks at 4. I'm going to say their quirks fully awaken at age 12. But Midoriya would fully awaken at a late age. Well, at the late age of, at 14. Yeah, let's put it there. 14. Yeah. Midoriya would have gotten his quirk at 15. Yeah. Yeah, because, you start at high school at 15, I'm assuming. If I remember correctly. 15, 9th grade, 16, 10th, 17, 11th, and 12th grade, you'd be 18. Yeah. So, yeah, he just now awoke his quirk at age 15, which is later than everyone else's age. And you first get, when your quirk awakens, you get it evaluated. And Izumi, when she got her quirk, why did I stutter right there? What the fuck is going on? When she got her quirk evaluated, she was already at A rank. And Inko, who had a similar, thing, like, she also awoke at A rank. Midoriya's father, who is still a mystery, awoke at ? Midoriya never heard about his father, nor did Izumi. Inko said that he's out doing stuff overseas at work, but his name isn't Hisashi. She would just give the name Wu. She wouldn't say more, as she would say his name, well, never mind. As every time they asked, that would be the response. But once Midoriya would ask her, and Izumi would be around, as it would slip Wu. That's all they would get from that. Just Wu. So, something Wu has always been in their heads. They wondered, how strong was their father? Why isn't he around? What's going on? Why did he leave their mom? They would have so many questions, but no answers. And Inko would not have let herself go, as she needed to provide for her 2 children while retaining being a hero, or a heroic hunter. If you hear me say hero, just assume it's a heroic hunter, because they have the title hero since they take down villains, thugs, and all that, right? They protect people in dungeons where people, other hunters kill lower rank hunters for their gear. Like they do all of that, and yeah. So, and they're also. I'm gonna still call them heroes, but I must sometimes call them heroic hunters if I remember. Okay. That's fucked up. Oh, I was looking at the TV and she just walked in on her man cheating on her. One second. I'm sorry, but I went to go get a bottle of water. But yeah, back on what I was just saying. She walked in on her man cheating on her with another man. That's crazy. I feel bad for her, low key. But back to the video. I might pause in a couple of seconds just to drink some water. By the way, I forgot to mention it earlier because, you know, I said it in all the other ones. Sorry about the background noise. You know, this bed is annoying. That fan is on and I need it because it's kind of hot, low key. The ceiling fan, it ain't doing shit. and we're gonna leave it there. Back to the video because I realized I got off topic. So back to Midoriya, as he's now had cleared out well over 100 monsters, and he would have been level 20 with all his stats. They go up 5 every level. One second, hold on, let me do the math. So Midoriya would have 60 stat points, and he would start to distribute them. He would put, I can't say 15 each way because that would be only 4 stats to go through. So I'm gonna say the ones that he most. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do it while thinking of. Yeah, we're gonna do it that way. So he would have 60 stats. I said stats, damn. He would put 10 in each, and then the remaining 10 split it between strength and speed. As he would now have 20 in strength and speed, while in the others he'd have 15. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, because there's 5. Add 10 to each. That's 50. Yeah. So 20 in strength and speed, 15 in the others. Yeah. Sound about right. Or I could be completely wrong and y'all gonna roast me in the comments. Maybe. That's if y'all see this video. Yeah, it might be a while before this one drop. What date is it? This is what? The 27th. So depending on how long it takes for this to get out, y'all might not see this to January. My fault. Back on topic. So he would finally make it to the boss room, as he would then hear voices yelling at him as he'd say, "They woke up." And he would turn, as the guys who would have ran past all the dead goblins and 2 dead orcs, they would see him heading towards the boss room. And them now on guard would immediately get ready to fight, as the mage would make a fire sword for the attack the strength dude, as he would buff his strength to the max as his muscles would grow, as he kind of looked like Hulk. Now his shirt and armor would have ripped, and he would be holding this giant flaming sword, as the assassin would have went invisible using his quirk. He would not. His quirk isn't to go invisible. His quirk is an assassin type quirk. By the way, all quirks gain skills. This is another difference from they gain skills. And the way they know of these skills is because like they don't have a system, but they get this voice in their head that tells them their skills that they have. So he would use his skill to go invisible. Like, and it's not him actually going invisible. He's hiding himself like completely from the human senses. Well, normal senses. As the guy who would be pissed off would be flaring this huge amount of bloodlust. And Midoriya, who can sense this huge amount of bloodlust, would just smirk as he'd say, "Okay, come on, you bastards." And he'd dash forward. But then he'd lean back, dodging the assassin, who would be shocked. As he wouldn't even notice that, like, he'd be so shocked that he wouldn't notice he's gonna go head first into a metal door, which is the boss room. But last second, he would like he'd sense it, and so he'd spin, putting his feet at the door and launch himself off it towards Midoriya, who's rushing towards the hulking guy. As Midoriya would jump up at the guy's face, and then he'd lean forward, dodging the assassin, who would have swung, but he would have cut across his friend's face, giving him a scar. As Midoriya would slam his feet down on both of them. Like I said, he flipped forward, having his feet upwards, like hooked upwards, and then he'd slam them downwards. Yeah, so the hulking guy would be slammed down on top of his friend, as his friend would be cratered under him and would be back visible. And this is another difference between the two worlds, as the guy who would have been completely knocked unconscious, he would be barely alive, as he would lose his skill, as it would turn into a runic stone, and Midoriya would see it as he would grab it, and the system would say, absorbing, do you want to absorb the skill stealth? And Midoriya would say, yeah. Like, he would just kind of, yeah. And the system would start to absorb it, and it would be like it would completely absorb it. And Midoriya would look at the guy as he'd say, I'm gonna use this well, I promise." And the hulking guy would swing upwards, not noticing what Midoriya did, but his flaming sword would have swung at Midoriya, who would have just barely had blocked with his left dagger, which would have completely been melted. As he would drop it and only be holding the right, as he'd hold his left hand up to his face like shown in the picture. And by the way, Midoriya has no cuts or scars on him. For some reason, no matter what, even from a young age, all cuts and scratches Midoriya got, he would always heal from them very quickly, and they would never leave a scar. Yeah, just had to throw that out there. But yeah, Midoriya would say, "Okay, this is getting interesting," as he dashed forward at the guy, and he would fake going to clash with his blade, his flame blade. But then he'd use his stealth skill, and he would vanish, as he'd appear right behind the guy, and he would slam the back of the dagger into the guy's neck, thinking, "Okay, I'll just knock him unconscious. I don't want to kill him." But then he'd hear something heading his way, as the mage would yell, "Magic missile!" As Midoriya would use his skill again, but the guy using his skill detection would start to, he'd keep spamming the skill, since it barely drains mana. And mages usually have a lot of mana, no matter the rank. But Midoriya also has quite a bit of mana, as his intelligence is now at 15. He has he's very intelligent now, but usually in games when you upgrade intelligence, it also upgrades your mana capacity. So his mana capacity would be at, I'm gonna say 500. Let's put it at 500. His mana capacity would be at 500, which is equivalent to the guy he's fighting, who is only a C rank. The guy is C rank, and he has 500 mana. And so he would be spamming it, and it would only cost 10 mana per spell, per magic missile. And so Midoriya, realizing that, okay, stealth ain't gonna cut it, since he obviously can detect it, and the detection skill was draining him every 10 seconds he'd lose 10 mana. But Midoriya, not knowing this about a mage, but when he turn off his stealth skill, the screen would show like he would accidentally turn on the system, and he noticed that his mana was going down, and he'd smirk getting the bright idea as he turned back on stealth, as his mana, which was 500, would have been at 480, since it was going down every 10 seconds. It went down 10. So yeah, so Midoriya would start jumping from wall to wall, as he would say, it's a battle of attrition. And it's not because he couldn't speed blitz the guy, but the hulking guy was in his way, and every time he shot a magic missile, the hulking guy would swing that way. Like swing the flaming sword that way, which would cause a heat wave to go his way, which could burn him, and he didn't want to get hit by the flaming, So he would spin over one blade as he throw his dagger, and it would stab clean into the giant's solar plexus, or where it should be. But even though it stabbed perfectly where it should be, Midoriya would notice it's not deep enough. Sure, it hurt him, but all that muscle probably tanked most of all of that damage. It's not enough. And so Midoriya would dash at him, and he would start cutting at the big guy. He would cut like on his legs, but they would be deep but shallow cuts. Like normally they'd be deep cuts, but to the hulking big body bastard that he is fighting now, they're just shallow cuts. And the magic guy would shoot his last magic missile, and Midoriya would throw his blade through it, as it would go flying at the guy, blade first, but Midoriya would appear behind him and neck chop him, and then catch the blade right as he'd fall. And Midoriya would deactivate stealth, as he'd smirk and say, still have 250 left, meaning you already down to, 203 when I was started? It don't matter. Now I just have to deal with you. As he'd jump and grab the dagger, but it wouldn't budge. Midoriya's strength would not make it budge at all. As he'd notice another crystal on the ground, as he'd kick off the hulking monster and grab the let's say crystal, another runic skill thing. We're gonna call them skill rocks. That's runic rocks. Let's put it that way. He'd see a runic rock as he'd grab it, and the system would appear saying, "Do you want the skill mana cover mana enhancement?" And he would read on the skill, which would show up as he'd ask for it, as it say it allows the user to enhance both his body or his weapons with mana. And Midoriya would say accept, as he'd dodge a punch since the guy lost his flame blade. By the way, that's another reason why the mage was losing mana quickly, because of the blade that he was the hulking monster had that he gave him was draining his mana too. Yeah. So Midoriya, now being completely confident, would enhance his blade with mana, as he noticed that this wasn't draining his mana at all, since since Midoriya has trained with a blade since he was a kid. Enhancing his body and weapons with it does nothing to him, since he sees blades as an extension of his hand. He sees daggers as an extension of his body as well. He doesn't just see them as weapons. He sees them as a part of him when he uses them. That's what makes him such a lethal fighter while using weapons. And from a young age, Midoriya was known as the Weapon Prodigy, or the Dagger Prodigy, the Samurai Child. Like, they would have multiple nicknames for Midoriya. But when his quirk never fully awakened when he turned 12, his nickname started to vanish. Midoriya started to lose the fame that came with his name, and his previous mentors, who had high hopes for him, now all told him that he didn't have a bright future, that he wouldn't go far, even with his skill. They completely lost faith in him. And in this moment, Midoriya only thought of proving them all wrong. Midoriya would then add strength, like he would throw down the sword as he would add all the mana he could into his fist, but like basically Gon's John Kin, like his rock, basically, like when when Gon puts all his energy into his fist, basically that. Except for he's not exhausting his mana, since he's just even though he's putting it into his fist, it's still a part of his body. He's not using it for magic, and he's not using it to do any type of magical skill. And so he would jump at him with all of this mana behind his fist. Like no other part of his body would be covered by mana. Just his whole right arm. And then this huge amount of mana surrounding his fist. As he would jump up and he would think about All Might. But then he'd say, I never really liked the guy, but if I could replicate his power with this punch, I know you're done for. And he'd slam his fist into the guy's chest, as he would then, like, the guy would both be slammed into the ground and then crater farther down. Like, Midoriya would punch him in the chest, and like they would start to lean at an angle, and then Midoriya would throw him like with all his force, would send him flying into the ground, which would cause him to crater down into it. As his body would go back to being normal, and Midoriya would land before him, and he would gain not a runic skill, but he would see something out of the corner of his eye. The door had opened. Midoriya had tried to open this door for the longest, and it wouldn't open, even with all his strength, yet it's opening now. Midoriya is opening, well, the boss door has finally opened. And Midoriya would step in as the gate finally acknowledged him. He had now been proven strong enough to finally be able to take on, the boss. So, Midoriya would then head inside as the doors would slam shut. As it wouldn't be like Sung Jin Woo's dungeon, since Midoriya already has his system. I mean, it's the same system, but different. But he doesn't know that, since he doesn't even know who Sung Jin Woo is. As that's when he would see this person or this thing walk out. It would walk out in front of him, as it would acknowledge him, as he'd say, "You are strong, but you must die here." And Midoriya would look around, as he'd see his favorite weapon to use besides daggers, a katana, as he'd grab it, place it on his hip, and he would unsheath it, and he'd point it forward, saying, "Who are you?" And Midoriya's, like, as the guys would open his eyes, he would immediately think, this is a demonic... Wait, what is this thing? I've never heard about this. As the guy would say, "No more talking." And he'd dash forward, as his blade would come flying at Midoriya, who would jump side, like he would turn, like lean back sideways, and then jump as he'd spin in a circle, and then slash across the guy's chest. But the guy would just heal as Midoriya would see that and be confused. And the guy would slam the flat of his blade onto Midoriya, as Midoriya would have been shocked that he didn't go for a kill blow. What type of monster is this? As the blow hurt, yeah, but he could endure it. Because why the fuck it sounded like that? Endure it. He could handle the attack since it's not very hard. I mean, it's hella hard since he's in a mini crater, but it's not the level of hard that he expected. And he would see that it's a knight of some sort, as it would dash at him, and he would notice it's black and purple. Why would a monster be black and purple? 1 second, I need to do something. Hold. Now, I have the perfect color. I was gonna do low key. Well, I had a color I had in mind that I was gonna do, but I might change it up. I might. Or I might keep them the same color as they already are. I don't know. I'm starting to think I might. You know what? I'm gonna do it. So, continue. The guy would smirk as he would slam Midoriya into a wall this time, and Midoriya would kick him in the face, and the guy would slide all the way back to the wall, and he'd say, "You have impressive strength." By the way, like it's like 50 feet. Like this is a huge ass area they're in, and for Midoriya to kick him from that side to the other side, it's pretty impressive. Well, meters. However, if I kick that man a long way into the wall, let's put it that way. So, right, back to that. Midoriya would dash in, not wanting to give him any time to recover, as he would hit him with a flurry of precise, yet undamaging slashes. But Midoriya wouldn't care, as long as he's putting weight and heart, as long as he's keeping pressure on the guy. He won't let him win. He won't let him recover enough to attack back. This guy is dangerous. He can just feel it. Something is not right about him. As the guy would say, "You didn't even ask my name yet." We started fighting. That's so much like your father. I mean, it's almost like my father was right about you. Well, it's almost like all of the others were right about your family. Well, you being like your father, should I say. And Midoriya would freeze. Like his blade would be at the guy's throat. He knew it wouldn't do any damage, but he would hold it there, threatening. As now Mana would be enhancing his blade. And this demonic, deadly aura would be on Midoriya. What? What the hell did you just say? As the guy would say, "See, now you're interested in a conversation." And Midoriya would slam his blade up, but the guy's fist would land harder. Well, land faster at Midoriya, at making his blade miss, as he'd go flying. As the guy would start walking after him. 1 second. Alright, I'm back. So yeah. The guy would say, "You don't know your father very well, I'm assuming." Meaning your mother kept him hidden away for your safety. She didn't want you and your sister to get hurt. She didn't want you to get hurt. But that's fine. I won't tell you your father's name. Well, actually, I'll cut this conversation here. I would give you his name, but then you'd be in danger immediately. So, how about this? Come prove to me that you deserve to gain his power. Come prove you deserve to be the next Shadow Monarch. As Midoriya, who would be cratered in the wall, would be listening, as his system would be like telling him, hold on one second. Hold on. My bad. What was I about to? Where was I? Low key, I don't remember. Oh no, I remember. 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to go open the door for somebody. But yeah. Right. So Midoriya's system would activate as it would say low health detected. And it would give him a quest finally. As it didn't give him the quest as soon as he entered the boss room. He would be given a quest to defeat the boss. As he would get a name for it. Hold on, I need to think of a name. I had a name, but I don't remember it now. Alright, I'm back. Alright, I'm going to change a few things. Hey, cuz. Calm down with that bag now. Hold on. Alright, like I was saying, I'm going to change a few, not a few things, but I'm going to change something from what I just said. So, I said father. Yeah, we're going to change that. He would have said, instead of father, he said master. Right? Master or sensei. One of those two. Okay? Good. He would say his name is, the system would say his name is, Ignis. I don't know why I paused right there. Why are you holding your hands up? What did you come for? Sorry about that. I was talking to my cousin. But, yeah. So, Midoriya would stand up and say, so your name is Ignis. Sorry about that. So he'd say, so your name is Ignis, huh? And you know my father, but he's in a dangerous situation, and you refuse to tell me, even though you almost just killed me. You're one weird whatever you are. What are you? I get you're a monster and whatnot, but you speak as if my father owns an army. And Ignis would burst out laughing, and he'd say, you hit it right on the mark. Your father, the Shadow Monarch, leads an army of shadows. My master is a part of those shadows, but me, no. I'm here to join yours, only if you're, well, in my leagues. Well, stronger than me. But seeing as you're almost dead, I guess not. And he'd dash at Midoriya again, who would use, like, by the way, Midoriya has full access to everything. The shop, all of it. So Midoriya would trade 2 of his crystals since, you know, he has more than the 100 he needed. 1 second. Sorry about that. So yeah, Midoriya would have more than the 100 he needs to, you know, prove to his mom that, you know, he can handle being a hunter. So he would use 2 of the 300 he has to what's the word? Oh, right. To get a healing potion, since he doesn't have any gold or money yet, he doesn't have any gold for currency of his system, and he doesn't have any actual money with him. He he just used two crystals, and the system allowed it since he doesn't have any money, so they just changed the two crystals into gold, and it allowed him to have enough to get a healing potion. But not just one, he'd get three. As he drink the first one, and he'd start drinking the first one while having the bottle in his mouth, and he'd start fighting the guy. As when it run out, he'd grab it and crush it up against his face, against Ignis's face. As they would continue fighting, as Midoriya would get the upper hand with his vast knowledge of multiple different martial arts, as he would slam and then knee strike Ignis in the throat. And Ignis not being alive, well, no, yeah, Ignis being alive would feel this, but he's a monster, so that's gonna take more than just that. But when he'd go to say this, Midoriya would land a palm strike filled with his mana to the guy's face, as he would have been using just his left hand to pummel him into the ground. As secretly with his right hand, he would be using mana to draw the katana to him, as he would be landing tens of strikes every every second. And the katana, he'd snatch it with a mana string that he would have made. And this would have allowed him to get another skill, since he made it. He would have gained the skill mana threads, which don't take up any mana, but they're used as lethal and invisible threads that can only be seen if by mages who can use the detection skill, or by people who can naturally sense them. But other than that, they're not gonna be able to detect those threats. Let's put it that way. And so Midoriya would bind up Ignis with it, and he would take the katana, he'd jump up a bit and fill it with all the mana he can and slam it down on Ignis, who would block with his blade, as he would have easily had broken free. But when the two blades clash, Midoriya would cleave clean through his blade, and then the blade would be stopped by Ignis's hand, who would say, "You did well to break my blade." But Midoriya, not caring to hear his bullshit, would slam his fist into his head, and he would start pounding his head into the ground. And eventually, he would hear the ding of the system, and then he'd hear it an additional 2 more times. As he would now be 3 more times, as he'd be now level 24. And Midoriya, who at first didn't register it, the first ding, he would have still been punching. Then the second ding, he kind of heard it but ignored it, and then the third and fourth one, he was like, okay, what is that? And he'd look over and see his system said he leveled up, and then he'd level up another 4 times to add it to that, because of his quest. As Midoriya would look down and see that he had completely flattened Ignis's head. And Midoriya would jump off him, and he'd breathe out in relief as he'd say, ugh. And then he'd notice that something was in front of him. He could see this aura on Ignis that he saw on the goblins but didn't really care for. But he was invested now, as he'd look at it, and the system would finally explain what it is. As Midoriya would say, so I need a word to say to resurrect him. And since I'm the Shadow Monarch, it's basically like necromancy, except for they live in my shadows, and They only take up mana when they're about to die, except for they regenerate using my mana. Midoriya would sigh as he'd say, there's no use for the goblins, but they could be useful, I guess. And so Midoriya would go through his options in his head, as only one word would fit right with him. Arise. And that's where we're going to leave this part off. As I have my cousin talking in the background and don't want this to continue with that. So I'll make the next part in the morning. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this part, even though it started off very rocky, and towards the middle to end it also was very rocky. But listen, the first part, I was trying to do something and remember the script that I had wrote, and then I kept having to go look at the script that I had, well, not wrote but typed out on this phone. But if you want to better understand the beginning of the script, I might put it in one of the segments, probably during this part right here, during the outro. But that's if you want, like, if you guys want that, I'll let you know. But yeah, with that being said, goodbye.